Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing out there today? It is a very early morning here in Tokyo. I hope you guys are all having a good time. Thanks for joining me again today. We haven't got anyone on the live stream yet, but we'll wait for a few people. We do actually have our first person joining us now. If you're not watching live and you're watching on the replay, welcome as well. As you can see, I've got some Halloween decorations up above me here, and which is a good thing for me to mention right now. I usually do a live lesson on Saturdays and Sundays. Today is Saturday. It's 7 a.m. here in Japan. So I've got my live lesson going. But tomorrow I will not be doing a live lesson. Tomorrow I will be having a Halloween party at my house. So I need to prepare for it. I need to do a Costco run. I need to do a lot of things, get the house ready for people to come. So no live lesson tomorrow, but I'll be back next week on Sunday as well. I'll be on Thursday and then Saturday again next week. But today, welcome to the lesson. If you noticed from my description, today we will be focusing on countable and uncountable nouns. We're going to be doing a bit of an interesting lesson today. It's going to be kind of a basic lesson. It's a beginner's lesson, but it is super, super important. We use this grammar a lot. Sorry, I was just checking my phone here. We use this grammar a lot. It's very common. But while I say it's beginner and basic, it is so important that you learn how to use this grammar. It is the foundation of English. We are going to be using the be verb a lot. We are going to be talking about countable, uncountable nouns. And we're also going to be making sentences using there is and there are. All right, so there is, there are. That's what we'll be doing today. And so I'm just going to wait a little bit longer for some people to join me. But yeah, one of the main things we're going to be looking at is there is and there are. What is the difference? How do we make these sentences? We're also going to be looking at countable and uncountable. I've had a lot of people who get a little bit confused with countable and uncountable nouns. So we'll go over all of those and some common examples as well. All right, so there is, there are, plus countable versus uncountable. So we're going to jump right into the lesson today. Today's not going to be that long of a lesson. It might go an hour. It might go a little less than an hour. But it's important that you use this. I am going to be sharing a sort of a new screen with you today as well. So that should be fun. I'll show you a lot of images today. So let's get the lesson onto the screen. And I did double check this morning that it would work. And today's lesson is this: there is and there are. But mainly at first, we're going to be looking at the difference between a countable and uncountable noun. All right, we've got some people here. Fusa, Ohio gozaimasu. Good morning to you, Fusa. Thanks for joining me this early in the morning. It is a bright early morning here in Tokyo, but it's not the nicest of days. It's not raining or anything, but it is very cloudy. And it is quite chilly. As you can see, I've got a sweatshirt on today because it is a bit chilly. XYZ, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? I hope you're having a great morning as well. YFS, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a good morning, and I hope you have a good day today. Hope you have something planned for this weekend. And Kaz, Ohio gozaimasu. Good morning to you too, Kaz. Thanks for joining me. How is your morning? How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. I'm doing really well. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but I do feel rested. So I'm feeling very good. I hope you are as well. And thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be looking first at countable versus uncountable. Countable versus uncountable. And we're talking about nouns today. So let's get right into that. Let's look at the different nouns that we can be using. And first, what is a noun? What is a noun? So if you look at the screen here, a noun is a person, place, or thing. All right, so a noun is a person, place, or thing. So whenever you're talking about any type of noun, we would say it's either a person, place, or thing. So let's just look here. I've got a notebook. This is a thing. All right, a person, him, a pilot, a police officer. Those are all nouns. A place, I'm in Tokyo, that's a noun. My home, that's a noun. Okay, a person, place, or thing. Let's see here, YFS. Halloween party on Sunday. Nice. You're having a Halloween. Me too. I'm also having a Halloween party on Sunday. Well, kind of a Halloween party. Tokyo, at least my neighborhood does celebrate Halloween. So it is nice. I do get to celebrate Halloween. I'll probably do it on Sunday because that's what my town is doing. But I'm assuming there'll be something on Tuesday as well, which is the actual Halloween day. Wi-Fi, I hope you have a great Halloween. Are you gonna dress up? Are you gonna wear something? I haven't decided what I'm gonna wear yet. I'm kind of going between a kind of a monster or a devil or demon. What about you, YFS? What are you going to wear for Halloween? What's your costume going to be? And anybody else, if you're wearing a costume, what is your costume going to be? Let me share with that in the comment section. Okay, and while you guys are typing and telling me your costumes, let's continue with the lesson. Countable and uncountable. We're looking at nouns first. So let's go over kind of just a quick overview of what does countable mean and what does uncountable mean. And I'll give you a couple of tricks to help you when you're trying to choose between a countable and uncountable noun. All right, so YFS, you are going to be an evil witch. An evil witch. Nice. That's good. I hope you make your witch really scary. Yeah, I really like when people, go all out and use a lot of makeup and dress and have great elaborate costumes. So definitely, I hope you go all out, and I hope it's scary, and I hope you have fun. Okay, let's look at countable nouns. Now, a countable noun simply means any noun that you can count. Any noun that you can count. Now, I've got some examples here, but just near me, I've got something to show you. We've got here a pencil crayon. And if you look, that's not a pencil crayon, but if you look, I've got 4 of them in my hand. So I can count these, right? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm able to count these things. So if I'm able to count them, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, that means it's a countable noun. Other examples of a countable noun are an apple, a car, and a book. I can count all of these things. In my fridge right now, I've got 7 apples. I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At my house, I have 1 car. I only have 1 car. And book, right near me, I've got one book. But if we go down into my office, then you'll see many books. I've got a lot of books, maybe 50, 60 books. These are all great examples of a countable noun. Now, the opposite is uncountable. Uncountable means you cannot count this noun. Now, one trick that I always tell people, that when you're trying to figure out, is it countable or is it uncountable? I want you to imagine that it is in your hand, right? So a second ago, I had these pencil crayons. They were in my hand. If you can imagine them in your hand, can you count it? For the pencil crayons, yes, I can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in my hand. But let's look at this right here. I've got a cafe latte. I've got a latte with me. Now, I'm not going to do this because it'll make a mess, but if I pour this, oh, I just did do it. I did make a big mess. Luckily, I've got some tissue. But if I pour it, actually, let's do it again. Let's pour it in my hand here. All right, so now I've got latte in my hand. It's very cold. It's an ice latte. It's in my hand. Can I count this? Can I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And the answer is no. You can't count this. It's a liquid. You are unable to count that liquid. So in that situation, we would say that it is uncountable. You are unable to count it. Let me just clean up my mess. All right. This is uncountable. All right. So that's one little trick you can do. Imagine it is in your hand. Can you count it? Now, the second thing is, imagine if it's in your hand and it's easy to count. It's easy to count. Now, if you look at the example I've given you, I've got 3 really good examples. Milk. If I put milk in my hand, it's not, I can't count it. Gasoline. Gasoline is also a liquid. If I put it in my hand, I cannot count it. If I see gasoline in a bucket or on the ground, I cannot count it. Now, rice, if it's in my hand, each little piece of rice, I could count it, but it's so difficult. It's so small. It would take me a very, 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 very long time. So if something is really difficult to count, it's really small, then we classify it as uncountable. Okay, so we classify it as uncountable. So rice is uncountable. So there are a lot of different examples of countable and uncountable nouns. We'll go over these safe words later. But what I want to do at the very beginning of this lesson is I want to start with a little test. I want to share a little test with everyone. I think the most difficult thing with countable and uncountable nouns is food. Food often creates a lot of difficulty. We never know if it's countable or uncountable. So I am going to give you a small test. I'm going to put a bunch of food vocabulary onto the screen. And you'll see it right now. The food vocabulary. We've got a lot of vocabulary here. I'm going to give you a few seconds here. We'll go through each one, and you're going to tell me countable or uncountable. And after we go over all of the vocabulary, I will then share with you whether it's countable or uncountable. Okay, does that sound good? All right, let's go to the very first one. This is also a great way to improve vocabulary. So tell me what the noun is. And then after you tell me what the noun is, then you tell me, is it countable or uncountable? So let's look at the first noun right here. What is this? What is this? Tell me what the noun is, and then tell me if it's countable or uncountable. And while you think, I'm going to continue to clean my latte mess. All right, the things I do. All right. All right, YFS with the answer, butter. Butter, very good. Butter. That is butter. So now tell me, is it countable or is it uncountable? And anybody who's watching right now, we have a few people online. Don't be shy. And all I want you to do is tell me, is it countable or uncountable? And I know some of you are probably typing on a tablet or on an iPhone, so it's a little bit difficult. So all I want you to do is on your device, I want you to type either a C or a U. Type a C for countable, U for uncountable. So we'll try to go through these quickly. So you don't have to type the whole word, just a C or a U. All right, so XYZ, I think it's non-countable, but it could say a block of butter, so countable. Really, really good point, XYZ. So first, let's just look at the word butter, only the word butter. If I look at just the word butter, then you're correct. It is uncountable. Okay, butter is uncountable. All right. All right, so the very first one, it is uncountable. Now, you mentioned a block of butter. Now, this is a really good point. Before we go on to it, we've got YFS with you, uncountable. Correct, YFS. Yes, butter is uncountable. But XYZ, you make a really good point. A block of butter. Now, any uncountable noun can become countable. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. Any uncountable noun can become countable. So as long as we add a countable unit, then that uncountable noun can become countable. So XYZ put a block of butter. Now, a block is countable. A block is countable. So we can count the block. So we say a block of butter. So again, one more time. Any uncountable noun can become countable, as long as you put a unit that we can count. So in this situation, it's a block. Let's go back to my latte. I'm not going to make a mess this time. We've got a latte. Is this countable or uncountable? We already determined that a latte is uncountable. But how do we make it countable? Okay. What is the latte in? The latte is in a glass. This glass is countable. So I can make this uncountable noun, I can make it countable. I can say a glass of latte, a cup of latte. Okay, so any countable noun can become countable. But in this exercise, let's just look at the base form. So we've just got butter here. And both of you are correct. They are both uncountable. That is why it's really confusing for me. English is difficult. Yeah, so just don't think about the unit of measurement. Just think about the noun itself. So again, the trick, imagine it's in your hand. You've got butter in your hand. Can you count that? All right, it's a hot summer day, the butter is melting. Can you count that? Right? No, you can't count that because it's becoming a liquid. Butter, when hot, becomes a liquid. You cannot count a liquid. All right, so don't worry, XYZ. By the end of this lesson, you will be getting this much easier. All right, so we know butter, uncountable. Let's move on. Let's look at this one here. First, please tell me, what is this? And is it countable or uncountable? Can you count it? Can we say 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples? Or can we not say, can we not count the apples? Okay, I already gave you the noun, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I gave you the noun. Just tell me if it's countable or uncountable. YFS C, good. Apple C, very good. Yes, an apple is countable. Very good. Now, very good point to mention here. Really important point to mention here. Let's look at these two examples. Let's put the words onto the screen. We've got butter and we've got apple. Now, in this situation, I only have 1 apple, but let's imagine that we've got 2 or 3 or 4 apples here. Now, if there is more than 1 apple, then for this word, I must put an S. I must put an S. So any countable noun, if it becomes plural, that means more than 1, we add an S. Now, let's look at butter. With butter, we can never put an S. Okay, do not put an S on an uncountable noun. An uncountable noun never has an S. All right, so that's one really key point. Don't put any S's on your uncountable noun. Countable nouns, yes, you can add the S. Uncountable, no, please, no S with an uncountable noun. Okay, let's go to the next one. What is it? What is it? And is it countable or is it uncountable? Just put C or U into the comment section. Is it countable or uncountable? Just put a C or U in the comment section. This is one of my favorite vegetables. I love this vegetable. And XYZ, you are correct. It's an eggplant and it's countable. Very good. Very good. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. What is this? And is it countable or uncountable? All right, so YFS, you put countable, but I believe you're talking about the eggplant. That is correct. What about the next one here? What is this? Is it countable or uncountable? So we've got some different items here. 2 different items here. In general, what is it all called? XYZ, you've got bread. Bread, very good. That is correct. This is bread. Now, is bread countable or is bread uncountable? Is bread countable or uncountable? Now, again, don't think of the root form of it. Think of it, it's in your hand. There's bread in your hand. Is it countable or uncountable? This is probably the first tough one that we're going to have. YFS bread or croissant is countable. Croissant, you are right. A croissant is countable. Now, the spelling for a croissant is going to be that. I've put it into your message box here or into the chat box, croissant. You're right. A croissant is countable. XYZ, you think uncountable. Bread is uncountable. Also correct. The word bread is uncountable. But a croissant, so a croissant is going to be just the one item here that is countable. 1, 2. These are countable. But this bread is the base form. It is uncountable. There are many different types of bread. There's baguette, there's a ciabatta, there's croissants, there's a sourdough, there's rye, there's a dinner roll. These are all different types of bread. Bread itself is uncountable. The category of bread is uncountable. All right, let's do a couple more. Let's do a couple more difficult ones here. Let's go straight here. What is it? And is it countable or uncountable? See, it's very confusing. Yes, it is confusing, but you just have to remember. Now, bread, the category of bread, the base form of bread, which is made with flour, butter, oil, and some water. All of those things are uncountable. You cannot count them. So bread itself comes in many different forms. So each of those might be countable, but bread itself is uncountable. Okay, so we've got lettuce. Lettuce, very good. And YFS, you think lettuce is uncountable. All right, again, I want you to think lettuce is in your hand. Lettuce is in your hand. Let's imagine that this is in your hand. This lettuce that you see on the screen right now. You got leaves of lettuce here, right? There's a leaf, but sometimes there's the round lettuce. Sometimes there's lettuce that's chopped. Sometimes it comes in a leaf form. Can you count those? Okay. The answer is no. Lettuce is uncountable. Lettuce is uncountable. All right. If I want to make lettuce countable, remember, if I can make any uncountable noun countable, if we're talking about the circular lettuce, the one that comes in the big ball, in that one, we could say a head of lettuce. A head of lettuce. A head of lettuce is going to be the circular lettuce. It looks like a head. That's a head of lettuce. So now we can think. Here's your next trick. Here's your next tip. Any vegetable that has a leaf, any leafy vegetable is going to be uncountable. Any leafy vegetable is going to be uncountable. So we've got lettuce. That's uncountable. Can you give me another example of a leafy vegetable? A vegetable that has a leaf. Most of these leaves, of course, are going to be green. A green vegetable. What leafy vegetable can you tell me? Yes, YFS. Yeah. if you want to make a lettuce countable, we say a head of lettuce. XYZ. Spinach. Very good. Spinach is uncountable. Spinach is a leafy vegetable. It's a leafy vegetable. The spelling for spinach, though, is ACH. ACH. I'll put that in the message or in the chat box here so you can see that spinach is with ACH. Yes, spinach has many leaves. It's a leafy vegetable. That's uncountable. XYZ, ahead of, wow. Yes, you're very welcome. And YFS, cabbage. Cabbage is a leafy vegetable. It's uncountable. We could also say a head of cabbage. It comes in that round form. So a head of cabbage. All right. Any leafy vegetables, we got 3 great examples. We've got lettuce, right? We've got spinach. We've got cabbage. There's so many things. There's kale. Kale would be uncountable. It's a leafy vegetable. A mustard green. A mustard green is a leafy vegetable. It's uncountable. So any leafy vegetable will be uncountable. Okay, so I don't want this whole lesson to be just, is it countable or uncountable? So what we'll do here is I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. We've got a huge list of vocabulary words here. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. I want you to look at each of these and just mentally think, is it countable or uncountable? I want you to separate them. If you want, you can write them down on a piece of paper or just look at them and try to separate them into countable and uncountable. And before we do that, YFS has a question. Could we say, can you get me 3 heads of cabbage? That is a perfect question. So a head is countable. So I could say 1, 2, 3 heads of cabbage. And very good job, YFS. You put an S on head because head is countable. And it's plural. That means more than one. So we add the S. 3 heads of cabbage. Yes, you can say that. That's a perfect question. Okay, so what I want you to do now is tell me or think of yourself. Is this countable or uncountable? I'm going to give you another 20 seconds. I want you to separate it into countable and uncountable. If you're not sure of any of the names of these nouns, you can ask me in the comment section. Otherwise, we'll go through. I'm going to list all the nouns right now. We've done the top level. Let's go to the middle level. Right? We've got some pasta. We've got lettuce. We've got cheese, eggs, burger. Go to the bottom level now. We've got chocolate. All right. We've got a salad. We've got fruit. We've got fries. And we've got jam. I need you to separate them into countable and uncountable. There's going to be a few interesting ones here. There's a couple that I really want to focus on because recently I've seen a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people use a few of these nouns incorrectly. Especially one of the nouns here that you can see, it is uncountable, but a lot of people recently tried to make it countable and they put an S on it. And so today I want everyone to understand and be very clear. All right, I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. I hope you're separating in your mind. Kind of look at each one and just try to judge. Is it countable or uncountable? Okay, let's stop sharing that now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share another screen with you. And I've separated each of the nouns into countable and uncountable. So let's look at that now. And here we've got the separated list here. We've got countable and we've got uncountable. Countable on the left, uncountable on the right. So we've got on the countable side, we've got an apple, eggplant, salad, burger, eggs, and fries. Now, if you notice, if I say eggs, fries, those words have an S on it. That's your next trick. If there is an S on your noun, it is most likely going to be countable because that means it's plural. We can count them. Fries, it ends in an S. It must be countable. I think the one that's going to confuse everyone is this right here. The salad. Salad is countable. It's countable. I want you to think salad as one unit. Inside the salad, there are many things. We have lettuce. That's uncountable. All right, let's look at the salad. Let's make this salad a little bit bigger onto the screen. All right, so this salad here, we've got lettuce. It's uncountable. We've got tomatoes. It's countable. We've got some cucumbers. Countable. We've got a strawberry. It's a strange salad. Strawberry. Countable. Maybe that's, I'm not sure. It could be cheese. There's an egg that's countable. Cheese is countable or uncountable. Sorry. There's a mix of countable and uncountable inside the bowl, but the whole thing is a meal. It's a unit. It's a one meal. The meal is called a salad. Right? So a salad is countable. Each thing might be different, but salad itself is countable. So let's make this smaller again, and let's look at the uncountable side. And we've got butter, bread, cheese, fruit, pasta, jam, lettuce, chocolate. And XYZ. Chocolate? What? Chocolate's uncountable? Yes, chocolate is uncountable. Think about chocolate. Think about all the different forms of chocolate and put it in your hand. If it's in your hand, can you count that chocolate? If it's a hot summer day, that chocolate's melting. The chocolate's melting. If chocolate is melting, can you count it? No, it becomes just a big, becomes a big part. Like it becomes soup, basically, chocolate soup. That's uncountable. And XYZ, perfect. A bar of chocolate, but chocolate bar, we can say. Right, we can say chocolate bar. All right, chocolate bar. Yeah, so chocolate is uncountable. Jam is uncountable. Cheese is uncountable. Those are some of the tricky ones. And the one that I want everybody to remember, fruit. Fruit, this is uncountable. Please never, ever, ever say fruits. A lot of people are recently saying fruits. They're making that noun countable. It is not countable. Fruit is not countable. Please do not add an S to this noun. All right. Some people recently are starting to do this. Even I think some native English speakers are doing this. It's not. If you look at the history of this noun, it is historically an uncountable noun. So please do not put an S on it. Okay, so I'll just make that smaller again so everybody can see. Make sure you come back to this, review these countable and uncountable nouns. And you can just take a photo of it, a screenshot of this as well, so you can reference it at another time. Okay, so we've got countable and uncountable. A quick little, well, not so quick little test on this. So now let's move on to making sentences. In today's lesson, we are going to be focusing on there is or there are. There is and there are. So let's look at the screen again. Let's look at the lesson and let's start making some sentences. Now, before we start making the sentences, I want to go over some of the safe words. The words some and a lot of. These are safe words. That means with a countable noun, you can use the word some and a lot of. With an uncountable noun, you can use the words some and a lot of. They are okay to use with both of these types of nouns. So if you're confused, what can I use with a countable or uncountable noun? Some and a lot of are very, very safe, because some other words are not so safe. For example, if I want to say the word much, much is only used with an uncountable noun. Much is only used with an uncountable noun. And the opposite, many. Many is only used with countable. We separate these words. So you cannot say, I have much apples. That is incorrect. I have many apples. I cannot say I have many water. I have many latte. No, that's incorrect. I cannot say that. Safe words. I have a lot of latte. I have a lot of apples. I have some apples. I have some latte. Okay, so some and a lot of are very, very safe words. So next, let's look at there is, there are. Now, if I want to look at there is, I'm going to make it blue. There is must be followed with a singular noun. Singular noun means it's one item, okay? So I've got, again, remember, one notebook. So I would say there is a notebook in my hand. Also, there is also followed by a countable noun, a countable noun. You know, there is one pencil. There is one pencil. Okay. Now, the other thing, I haven't actually put it in here. I'm going to make this a little bit. We could also make this with uncountable. An uncountable noun, we are going to use there is. There is latte in the cup. There is some latte in the cup. Now, there are must be using a plural noun. That means more than one. Okay, be careful. There are plus uncountable. We cannot do that. We cannot do there are and uncountable. This is incorrect. Uncountable is only here, only with there is. Okay, so let's look at the example sentences. There is a park in my neighborhood. Park, this is countable. It's one. So we say there is. Next sentence, I've got juice. Juice is uncountable. So I must say there is. There is some juice in my fridge. And last one, cars. Cars is countable. There are a lot of cars in Los Angeles. There are a lot of cars in Los Angeles. Wow, so many things to learn. Yes, I need to come back to this video again. Yeah, this is really weird. There are countable and uncountable. Sometimes I introduce this lesson to some of my advanced English classes at my school. And whenever I say, today we're going to study there is, there are, countable, uncountable, a lot of the students, they kind of look at me like, hey, like, Shelly, this is too easy for us. You know, I'm an advanced English speaker. And I do this because there are, countable, uncountable, be verb. These are some of the foundations of English. It's really important that we use these correctly. And it's surprisingly really difficult. It's really confusing. And a lot of advanced speakers, make mistakes with there is and there are. So it's really important that you actually learn how to use these words and make these sentences correctly. So it sounds really easy, but it is a little bit confusing. So I do recommend this lesson for not only beginners and intermediates, but for advanced speakers as well. Let's go over one more grammar point, and then we're going to start making some sentences. All right, so we've got the questions. If you want to make a question, the same principles will apply. If my noun is singular and it's countable, if my noun is uncountable, then I'll be using is there. And then I'll be using a or any. Now, if my noun is plural, that means more than one, all right? So we've got, again, these pencil crayons. They're countable and there's more than one. They're plural. So I would use the question, are there? Are there any? Okay. I want you to always try to use the word any in your questions. Any is very commonly used in questions. Now, let's look at the example questions. Is there any juice in the fridge? All right, we know juice is uncountable. So I must use an is there question. And then next we've got parks. Parks is countable, and I've got an S. That means it's plural. So are there any parks in your neighborhood? Now, with any yes, no question, it's so important. Please answer the question yes and no. So yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there are. No, there aren't. Okay, so remember, if it's countable and it's singular, or if it's uncountable, please use is. If it's countable and there's more than one, please use are. Okay, so that is where we're going to start our active part of this lesson. This is where you are going to start speaking. Now, usually I have some exercises on the screen. We're going to do that today, but it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to make it a little bit more colorful. I'm going to show you some images. You're not going to see any words today. You're going to see images. And in this lesson, we're actually going to be doing kind of like a double lesson. The main lesson is we're going to be using there is, there are, but we're also going to be looking at prepositions. All right, we're going to use prepositions. Where is the item? Where is the noun? For example, there is a white pencil crayon. Where is it? In my hand. So there is a pencil crayon in my hand. So our sentences are going to be there is, there are, plus the location. All right, so let's look at an example. I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's look at this example right here. All right, so I've got on the left side, I've got the noun. And I've got plus, and then I've got the location. So I've got the noun plus the location. So with this, I want you to make a there is or a there are sentence. I will do the first one for everyone. I'll do the first one for everyone. And then after that, everybody can try with their next ones. All right. So we've got on the left side, we've got flowers. And on the right side, we've got a house. I'm going to join these two. I'm going to make a sentence. So my sentence would be, there are flowers in the house. There are flowers in the house. All right. Flower is countable. I can count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 flowers. Where are they? They're in the house. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We've got on the left side, we've got the noun, and on the right side, we've got the location. Please make a sentence using there is, there are, and then tell me where it is. All right, so, just for everyone, again, remember, there is going to be followed by an uncountable noun. Okay, that's the easiest way to remember this. There is going to be followed by an uncountable noun, whereas there are is going to be followed by a countable noun. All right, there are is followed by an uncountable noun. There is followed by an uncountable noun. Now, there is as well, we could be using one singular countable noun as well. All right, so if there's just one, for example, one pencil, I would say there is. All right, so there is an uncountable noun or a singular countable noun. All right, so we've got some answers here. XYZ says there is milk in a fridge. All right, good, good. At YFS, there is milk in the fridge. Yeah, I like here the instead of a because it's decided. There's only one fridge. So remember, a and the, we choose them depending on the listener's point of view. So I am listening. Now I'm looking at the fridge. So I know the fridge we are talking about. So if the listener knows the noun, then please use the. So there's milk in the fridge. That is, let's see if that is correct. And there is milk in the fridge. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, let's move on to another one. Looks like the same picture, but I've got a big X through the milk. I've got a big X through the milk. Please make a sentence using this, please. Now, whenever you see an X, that means I want you to use a negative sentence. I want you to use the word not. Okay, so I want you to use the word not in that situation. Remember, you can be using there is, there are, but we are going to be doing negative in this situation. So with a negative sentence, we are going to be using isn't or aren't. Okay, and the same principles will apply. We could use there isn't plus uncountable noun or a singular countable noun. We have an answer here. There isn't milk in the fridge. Very good. Very good. I know that's a typo, so don't worry. There isn't milk in the fridge. Very good. Now, there's one more thing that I want everybody to focus on. Now, whenever I have a negative sentence, whenever I'm making there isn't or there aren't sentence, I'd like you to use the word any as well. I'd like you to use the word any as well. So there isn't, there aren't any. Any is very commonly used in negative sentences and questions. All right, so please use the word any. So, and if that is the case, then my sentence would be there isn't any milk in the fridge. There isn't any milk in the fridge. Okay, very good. Let's keep moving. Next. Again, we've got that big X there. So that means we're making a negative sentence. Please tell me what the noun is. Tell me the location. Make a sentence. This is negative. So we're going to be using either there isn't or there aren't. And let's make your sentence here. There isn't or there aren't. Don't forget the word any. All right, so remember, there isn't is going to be using an uncountable noun or a singular countable noun. There aren't is going to be using countable nouns. And don't forget, use the word any. So YFS, yeah, you went back. There isn't any milk in the fridge. Yes, I know that's milk. Very good, very good. So what about the next one? XYZ, there aren't any books in my room. Perfect, perfect answer. There aren't any books in my bedroom. Perfect, excellent. Both perfect answers. Books are countable. And we have many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books in that picture. So we know it's a countable noun. It's a plural countable noun. So we're going to be saying there aren't any books. Perfect. All right. So next, let's make a question. Let's make a question. Now, remember, with our questions are going to be, is there, are there, is there, and are there. So look at the thing, look at the pictures, and make a question using either is there or are there. And I'll put up some information on the screen here for you guys. So is there any? Don't forget the word any. We've got uncountable, or we've got a singular countable noun. And if it's countable, we're going to be using are there and then a countable noun. Okay, and again, don't forget, we can use any as well. All right, are there any flowers in the house? Excellent. YFS, are there any flowers in your house? Perfect. How do we answer that? How do we answer that? Okay, are there any flowers in the house? What's your answer for this? Who can give me an answer for this? Anybody who's watching now, either live right now or during the replay, are there any flowers in your house or in the house? There's 2 possible answers for this. Yeah. Anytime we have a yes/no question, I really want you to answer yes, there are, or no, there aren't. Always answer a yes/no question with yes and no at the very beginning. Okay. So we've got YFS. Yes, there are some flowers in my house. Perfect. Very good. Very good. All right, let's look at the next one. Please make a question. XYZ. Yes, there are. Excellent. Please make a question. So you can see what the noun is because it's written on that carton. It's milk. Now you have to figure out, is milk countable or uncountable? Right? So if it is countable, then you're going to be making an are there question. If it's uncountable, you're going to be making an is there question. When you figure out if it's countable or uncountable, right? So that's countable and an uncountable or singular countable, we use is there. If it's countable and it's plural, we're going to use are there. And we've got YFS with the question, is there any milk in the fridge? Is there any milk in the fridge? XYZ, is there any milk in the fridge? Let's check your guys' answers. Let's check, and you are correct. Is there any milk in the fridge? Perfect. And two answers. Two answers. Two answers. What are your answers? And just give me a simple answer. Everybody back home, everybody watching right now, if you're watching live, if you're watching on the replay, is there any milk in your fridge? Two answers here. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. All right, very good. XYZ, yes, there. No, there isn't. YFS, yes. YFS, perfect. Just a simple yes is also okay. Excellent. Okay, so that was kind of the warm-up. That was the warm-up. We understand that we're going to be making sentences using there is and there are. Or we're going to be making questions. Is there or are there? Now remember, with any, we use that in a negative or in a question. So let's continue now. Let's go a little bit faster. We're going to be practicing. Please make some sentences, questions, and answers. Please make some sentences, questions, and answers. So look at the pictures here, left side and right side. Please tell me the noun and the location. So remember, you're going to be making here. We don't see a question mark, so we're not going to make a question here. Let's make that a little bit centered. So remember, if you use there is, it's either uncountable or it's a singular countable noun. If you use there are, it's a countable noun. And YFS has an answer. There is cheese in the fridge. Very good. Very good. Let's see. Let's see if your answer is right, YFS. And 3, 2, 1. There's cheese in the fridge. Your answer is perfect. All right. Let's get to a little bit more difficult one. Now, remember, if I'm moving too fast and you still want to answer any of these questions or any of these pictures, just put your comment into the chat part and I will come to it. And XYZ has just put hers or his in. It says there is cheese in the fridge. Perfect. Perfect. And anybody watching at home, I would recommend that you're speaking out loud. Speak all of these sentences, repeat after me. And if you want to add your answers to the comment section during the replay, that's also perfect. I will check them all. And remember, if you're watching on the replay or if you're watching right now live, and if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so we're getting a little bit more difficult now. A little bit more difficult. Look at the left side and then tell me where it is. So we've got the location on the right side. Location's easy because you can see it's written on the picture. But the left side is a little bit more difficult. Please make a sentence using these pictures. And again, if you want to just speak it out, you can speak it out at home. And in the future, I will be doing a different style of live lesson. Right now, it's me speaking, and I can't really hear you speak. I can read your comments, but I can't hear you. But in the future, I do plan on having some special lessons where you will actually join me live during the lesson. We'll be able to communicate real time, not through the message box or the chat box, but actually we will be able to speak to each other. So keep an eye out for that. I'm planning that right now. It's in the works, and I hope to get that organized soon. XYZ, your answer. There are furnitures in a store. Okay, so you've used the noun furniture. And YFS says there is furniture in a store. So XYZ, you think furniture is countable. And YFS, it looks like you think furniture is uncountable. Let's look at the screen. Let's see what it is. Okay, we have a question from YFS before. Furniture, is it uncountable like fruit? Let's find out. Let's find out. The answer here is there is furniture in the store. XYZ, you are correct. Furniture is uncountable like fruit. Furniture is the category. Furniture is the category. Furniture is uncountable. But within the category, I've got bed, I've got chair, I've got a sofa, I've got a table. Each of these is countable. Furniture itself, that is uncountable. But within the category, each of the items can be countable. They could be uncountable as well. So furniture is uncountable. All right. Let's go to the next picture. We've got left side, we've got some pictures. And on the right side, we've got the location. Please make a sentence using there is or there are. It's not a question. There's no question mark, so there's no question here. So you are going to be making a question either using there is plus an uncountable noun or there are an accountable noun. If it's a singular item, we also use there is. All right, so please choose whether we're using there is or there are. So the left side is the noun, right side is the location. Most of our locations, we've been using prepositions in. So it's not that difficult. I want you to focus more on there is and there are in this situation. XYZ, you should publish a vocabulary book about countable and uncountable nouns. Yeah, maybe I should do that. That's a good idea, XYZ. Maybe I will do that. So here we've got on the left side and on the right side. YFS has an answer. There are kids in a park. All right, so you've used the noun kids. It's a countable plural noun, you believe. So you've put there are. XYZ has the same answer. There are kids in the park. All right, kids, is that countable? Is it uncountable? I've used the word children, and children and kids are both countable. All right, so there are children in the park. I put the answer children here because it's a very unique noun. Children itself is very unique. The singular of children is going to be child. Right? So the singular of children is child, and the plural is going to be children. Now, this is interesting because the plural will not have an S. It will not have an S. Usually, if we want to make a noun plural, then we add an S, right? So we've got pencil, pencils. We've put the S on it. But some nouns are irregular. We have some irregular nouns that when we use them in the plural, they have a special spelling, special word. And children is countable, but it's a irregular noun, so we never put an S on children. So I've actually got some short videos. If you go to my channel, go under the shorts, and I actually have a lot of different short videos on irregular nouns. So talking about the plural form of nouns like child and children. So if you're interested in studying some nouns and the irregular forms of the plural, go check out my short videos. They're fun. They're interesting. For example, deer. Deer is a singular noun, but deer is also a plural noun. We never add an S on deer. We don't say deers. We say 5 deer, 6 deer, 7 deer. All right. So we got some comments here. There you go. Actually, you have short videos of plural nouns. Yeah, you just said that. Yeah, they're really good. They're really short 1-minute videos. I've got a lot of them on plural nouns. I've got some on many different topics. There's on plural nouns. There's on past participles. Check them out when you guys have time. They will help improve your vocabulary. But let's continue with this here. The next one, we're going to do a few more, maybe 2 or 3 more, and then we'll call it a day. We've got a noun and we've got the location. A noun and a location. Please make a sentence using this. Now, you have to determine, am I using there is? Am I using there are? Is it a countable noun? Is it an uncountable noun? That changes. All right, so there is or there are. Remember, there is will be using uncountable or singular countable. This is another tricky one, another difficult one, but it's important that we know because we want to be speaking English correctly. We've got a couple of answers. There is money in my wallet. So XYZ, you believe money is uncountable. YFS, there is no money in my wallet. No, that's so sad. But YFS, you also believe money is uncountable. And let's look at our answer. There is money in the wallet. There's money in the wallet. I know the left side, I've got all of the slides there. So if you really squint, you might be able to see the answer, but I believe it's too small. YFS XYZ, you are correct. Money is uncountable. Money is kind of like furniture. Money, the category here is going to be uncountable. But within money, we've got coins. We've got a bill. These are countable. These are countable. Money is the category. It's uncountable. But within the category, we've got bills and coins, which are countable. All right. Very, very good. Let's do another one. We're going to move into a question. This will be the last one we'll do. And we're going to end with a question. Please look at the YFS. They're too small to cheat. Yes, they are. Even I can't read that. It's so small. Thank God. That's good. No cheating in class. So let's make a question. With the question, remember, again, we have to determine, is it going to be countable? Is it going to be uncountable? So if it's uncountable, is there? If it's a singular noun, is there? Don't forget the word any. If it's countable, please use are there. All right. And what is your answer for this? Remember, it's a question. And key thing here, again, I've said this before, don't forget the word any. Don't forget the word any. We've got XYZ with, is there any lettuce in a sandwich? A sandwich. No T in the spelling of sandwich. So you believe lettuce is uncountable. And YFS, is there any lettuce in the sandwich? You also believe lettuce is uncountable. We already discussed this earlier in the lesson. If you're joining us late, we did a countable and uncountable challenge. So make sure you watch that part of the video on the replay. Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Let's see the answer. Let's see the answer. Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Because we are all looking at the same picture, so we all understand it's this sandwich, so we're going to use the in that situation. So the sandwich has been decided. We know it. I know it. You know it. So it's the. Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Perfect. Now, you tell me, everybody, make the answer as well. What's the answer for this question? Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Is there any lettuce in this sandwich? And if you need to make it a little bit bigger, there you go. Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Is there any lettuce in the sandwich? Let's make it a little bit smaller again. All right. And the answer, we've got YFS saying yes. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yeah, I see lettuce too. I see lettuce too. And the answer is yes, there is. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Good job, YFS. Good job at XYZ as well for being so active in today's lesson. Anybody else who's watching as well, anybody watching the replay as well, thanks. I hope you're being active. I hope you're speaking out loud. We're looking at there is XYZ. Yes, there is. Perfect. Today we are, we're focusing on making sentences using there is and there are. And we're really looking at the difference between countable and uncountable. Now, remember the trick, if it's in your hand and you can count it, then that's generally going to be a countable noun. But if you're unable to count it when it's in your hand, it's going to be uncountable, right? Things like, latte, water, milk, any liquid is going to be uncountable. And remember, any uncountable noun can become countable if we add a measure, a unit to it, right? So we learned that, water is uncountable, but I can say a bottle of water. Lettuce is uncountable, a head of lettuce, right? So these can all become countable. All right, so what I want you to do now, I'm going to actually give everybody some homework, okay? And this will really help you. What I want everybody to do is I want you to think, what is inside your fridge? What is inside your fridge? Okay, think about your fridge. What's inside? So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to tell me 3 things that are in your fridge. 3 things that are in your fridge. I want you to make sure that you are making a there is or there are sentence. Tell me 3 things that are in your fridge. There is, there are, something in my fridge. That is going to be your homework. I'd like you to put your answers in the comment section during the replay of the video. If you want to do it right now, you can put it right now, but we are going to be ending the lesson. So put it into the comment section when you have time. That's your homework. So if you're watching this on replay, that's your homework. 3 sentences. Open your fridge. Look at what's in your fridge. Make 3 sentences using there is and there are. And if you have any questions right now, and I know XYZ does have a question, now is the time to ask me. XYZ has a question. Is natto countable? Natto. Now, natto is a very typical Japanese food. It is actually a fermented soybean. I'm going to put that into the chat box. So anybody who wants to know what it is, natto is a fermented soybean. It is very, very healthy. It doesn't smell the best, but it's very, very healthy, and it's not bad. I'm not a big natto lover, but I don't hate natto. I can eat it. But the question is natto countable or uncountable? XYZ, you've got natto in your hand. You got natto in your hand. Can you count it? Right? You mix that natto all up. You know, with natto, it's a bean, but you mix it up and it becomes very, very it kind of reminds me of okra. Okra is kind of slimy. It kind of joins together. So what do you think? XYZ, natto's in your hand. Are you counting that natto? Can you say 1 natto, 2 nattos, 3 nattos? I can give you the answer, but I want you to try. What do you think, XYZ? You've got natto. It's in your hand. It's in here. XYZ, uncountable. Correct. Yes. Natto is definitely uncountable. You cannot count natto. All right. So again, it's not going to always work, but it's a really good trick. Just imagine you have it in your hand. And then imagine the base form, right? For example, like things like butter or chocolate, ice cream. In summertime, you got that in your hand, it's going to be melting. It becomes a liquid, right? Anything that can melt into the liquid is uncountable. You know, for instance, if I've got ice in my hand, it's going to melt. It becomes water. So ice is uncountable. Okay, so XYZ, yeah, thank you. I was thinking about the small box. Yeah, natto comes in a package. It comes in a container, right? So the box itself is countable. All right, and this is, before I go, that's a really good point, actually. Let me go through my slides here again. Let's look at this right here. You know, milk, right? We've got the sentence, there is milk in the fridge. Milk is uncountable. But milk is in a container, right? There is a special container here. And this container is countable. This is actually called a carton. A carton. All right, so carton itself is countable. So let's put that on the screen so you can see the spelling. Carton, a carton of milk. Carton is countable. So milk is uncountable, but I can make milk countable. I can make it countable by using the word carton. So that paper container that milk comes in, we call that a carton. Now in the US and in Canada, a lot of the milk, it's going to be coming in a different shape. It's not coming in a paper carton package. It comes in a plastic container. We call that a jug of milk. And we can say a gallon of milk. Gallon means 4 liters. So 4 liters of milk. Remember, any uncountable noun can become countable. Milk, we say a carton. You know, we had the word bread. Bread was uncountable, but we can make it countable. We can say a loaf of bread. All right. So yeah, XYZ, back to your question. The package itself, you could say it's a package of natto, a box of natto. So box is countable, natto is uncountable. All right. Any other questions regarding countable, uncountable? There aren't. And remember, if you think of a question later, you can always leave it in the comment section. And remember, do not forget, you do have homework. You're going to tell me 3 things that are in your fridge. Please leave these answers in the comment section. I will check them. So first, open your fridge, look what you have inside. Next, you have to figure out, is this either countable or uncountable? And then if it's countable, you are going to be using a there is or there are sentence. If it's uncountable, only there is. Okay, is it singular? Is it plural? Okay, so remember, there is, there are 3 sentences. That's your homework. And I will not be doing a live lesson tomorrow because I'll be throwing a Halloween party at my house. So I apologize for that. But I will be back next week with 3 live lessons, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's see. We've got a question here from YFS. There are nonstop questions in my head because this topic is very confusing all the time. Yeah, that's okay. Remember, you can always ask questions at any point. Just put them in the comment section during the replay whenever you think of them. Okay. All right. So remember, no lesson tomorrow, but I will be back on Thursday. But I will have some videos out for you to study with as well. All right. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Everyone who's watching on the replay, thank you for joining me as well. And until the next lesson, see ya.